Hey folks, welcome back to Tech, and More Tech. I'm Carlo, and this is part 6 of the Ultimate Smart Home Guide for 2020. So far we have discussed what is a smart home, what are the benefits of a smart home, what kind of smart home devices are there, how do we control these devices, and automations. If you haven't seen those videos yet, there are links in the description below, or you can head to techandmoretech.com. If you have seen those videos and you like them, consider hitting that like and subscribe button to help with the YouTube algorithm. Now in this part of the Ultimate Smart Home Guide, we're going to go over connection types known as protocols. These are basically the methods of communication that these devices use to send data to one another. Now admittedly, this is on the more technical side of things and it's a little bit more boring than the rest of the guide. However, I do think it is important to go over so that when you are going out to choose your devices, you're not confused by all the different labels on the box. There are 3 main connection types for consumer smart home devices. You've got Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, and Zigbee. Wi-Fi devices are definitely the most popular in the smart home world. They just connect to your home Wi-Fi and don't require any sort of extra hub. Wi-Fi devices often work with all 3 major ecosystems, making them a very versatile and an easy choice for consumers. Now, there are certainly drawbacks with Wi-Fi smart home devices. Firstly, they use more energy than other devices, which means you will rarely see battery-powered Wi-Fi smart home devices like sensors and buttons and accessories, and if you do, they're going to be pretty big and bulky. Some devices like security cameras have Wi-Fi versions of them now, but they are pretty big by nature and have a big thick battery in them. The 2 other downsides to Wi-Fi are bandwidth and security. If you use the router modem that your ISP provides you, then chances are that if you connect a whole bunch of Wi-Fi devices to it, you might get sluggish performance all around. If you do go with a predominantly Wi-Fi based smart home for whatever reason, I would highly encourage you to take security seriously. And this will be expanded on in a further section. The next 2 are Z-Wave and Zigbee, both of which require a hub in order for you to communicate with them. These are often found in devices where power and size are significant constraints, so you'll find them in things like sensors, buttons, and other accessory devices. I'm not going to go too deep into the technical aspects of those 2 protocols, but if you are interested, you can check out the hookups video linked down below. Zigbee operates on the 2.4 GHz spectrum, just like your Wi-Fi, but because it operates on a different channel, there's very little issue with bandwidth or interference. Some popular smart home devices actually have Zigbee hubs built in, such as the Nest Hub, the Echo Show, and the Echo Plus. Zigbee is an open standard, meaning that any manufacturer can use it. But because it's an open standard, it also means there's not like a strict set of guidelines that manufacturers need to follow. This means that there's no guaranteed compatibility between different Zigbee devices just because they say Zigbee on them. Now, the vast majority of mainstream devices are going to be interoperable because it is in the manufacturer's best interest. But when you are buying a Zigbee device, it is worth just double checking that it says that it's compatible with whichever hub you have. It also means that there is a possibility that you can have one set of Zigbee devices creating one mesh network and then another set of Zigbee devices creating their own mesh network and causing some sort of interference. Now, these are very slim chances, but it is theoretically possible. Z-Wave is very similar but works on a different frequency, 0.9 GHz, and it's a closed standard. Because it is a closed standard, it means that every Z-Wave device works with every other Z-Wave device. Also, due to the lower frequency that it operates at, there's very little devices out there that work in that same sort of frequency range, so there's very little chance of any sort of interference or bandwidth issues. When shopping around, you may notice that Z-Wave devices tend to cost a little bit more than Zigbee devices, and this is again due to that closed system. The company that licenses the Z-Wave technology is also the only company that makes the Z-Wave radios, meaning they basically have a somewhat of a monopoly on that technology. It's also worth noting that at the end of 2019, Amazon, Apple, Google, and the Zigbee Alliance all partnered together to come up with a new smart home standard. Partly in response to Z-Wave's somewhat monopoly of their tech, but also because they wanted to come up with something that is very easy for manufacturers to adhere to and very easy for customers to understand. This alliance is called the Connected Home over IP, CHOIP. Seeing as this working group only got together at the end of 2019, we're not expecting any sort of real progress for another year, and we're probably not expecting any devices for another year after that. So how do these different connection protocols affect you, the consumer? Ultimately, the protocol that your devices use to communicate with one another really shouldn't have much of an effect on you, and that's also part of what that chip alliance is working towards. These protocols and standards can be confusing even to tech-savvy people because they are sort of very niche, so to average consumers, they might just walk away from it altogether. But in a nutshell, Zigbee and Z-Wave require hubs. Wi-Fi does not, it just requires a wireless router, which you most likely already have. So you can see why Wi-Fi devices are as popular as they are. Both Z-Wave and Zigbee create mesh networks by expanding the signal from each device. So basically, as long as one device is within a certain distance of any other device, it will then expand on that mesh network, meaning you have connectivity throughout your whole home. Thankfully, smart home hubs have both Z-Wave and Zigbee radios built in, meaning you don't need to have two separate devices and choose between the two different protocols. You can just buy one and then pick your devices willy-nilly. When it comes to Wi-Fi, you just need to make sure that your router is powerful enough to cover your entire home, or you have a mesh network or extenders so that you don't have any dead spots in your home for coverage. Between Z-Wave and Zigbee devices, I haven't had any issues with either, and I've got plenty of both. So if you are choosing between two different devices, one is Z-Wave, one is Zigbee, just go with whichever one has better reviews or is cheaper. And if it happens to be the Zigbee one, just double check to make sure that it works with the hub that you have. In the next part of the Ultimate Smart Home Guide, we are going to expand on hubs, whether you need one, whether you don't, and they kind of go hand in hand exactly with this protocol video that you just watched. So stay tuned for that to kind of learn more. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. What kind of smart home devices do you have in terms of do you just have mainly Wi-Fi ones? Does that work for you? Do you have a hub? Just let us know. This guide is being released on a Monday-Thursday schedule, so if you want to make sure you don't miss out, hit that like and subscribe button to make sure that you're always up to date. And until next time, see ya.